big, beautiful valley oak. Probably been here for over 100 years. I know it was here a long time before this house. There's been a lot of changes, the addition of the lawn, and I can see with the marks on the ground here that there are additional changes to be made with some steps that are going to go down in here. Unfortunately, you can see that some of the roots are damaged in this area. Now, if this tree, there's some more damage over here, and there's quite an area of weakness over on this side over here. You can see a lot of drying out. What do we do about it? Can we do some weight reduction to make this tree a little safer? Possibly. I think if we took off this limb over here, maybe this big limb over here and this limb over here, and made this tree a little bit more off balanced, that would minimize the strain on the tree. There's an old wound right here that needs to be inspected very closely. That's kind of a tough call because that's a very, very old section, and because it was an old flush cut, the likelihood of more decay inside here is greater. And this whole limb is right over the structure. So what we need to do is get a ladder up here and put a probe in there and run the probe down in and see how deep that decay goes, because that may be much worse than it looks. And if that's the case, then the weakness on this limb may be much greater than it appears. So from this perspective, you can see that the large limb, if there were to be a failure, would go right on the house. Difficult decisions. Beautiful old tree. And it's a guess, but it's an educated guess that there is likelihood of some root decay going on as a direct result of past construction damage. If we were to take off this whole limb on the right, it would leave kind of an imbalanced looking tree. Looking way up over there, you can see a wound with a significant hole in it from woodpecker or somebody that's gotten in there. So there is an area of weakness right here, which is also over the roof. So that limb is potential area of failure. That's really too bad because it's a classic old tree. All right, a very good way to look at a cavity and make a better evaluation as to the potential degree of decay, or sometimes the degree of depth, because a cavity doesn't always have to be decayed for it to be more hazardous. The surface of the cavity underneath the new growth can oftentimes be fairly hard, but once you get below that and penetrate down deeper, that's when you'll notice that there's some areas of punky wood or internal decay. And really the only way to do that, you know, other than some heavy machinery, is to probe it. So I'm going to go up there and take a look. All right, first look. You can see some ants coming out of here. And this was cut off quite a long time ago. That's a fairly significant amount of callus growth. So I'm going to guess 20, 25 years ago that was done. So what I want to do is I want to put my probe deep inside here and see what we got going on. Oh yeah. Alright, it went in about 20 inches. So the center of this is quite deep, and what I'm really doing here is irritating a colony of ants. So they're coming out of here in great numbers now because I'm making them mad. You can see they're coming out in hordes, and I'm trying to keep my distance. Oh, got some of them on me. Ouch, they're biting me. But they're coming out by the hundreds, possibly the thousands. I don't know if that's helping or not. But there are now thousands of ants. And they're going all the way up and down the tree. I got in there and I agitated things pretty good. So see, the ants themselves are generally not a problem. The ants oftentimes will live inside of a cavity, but they're a really good indicator of how bad the cavity is, or oftentimes how deep it is. And with this massive infestation of ants coming out of here, what it's telling me is that it's probably a larger area that houses these ants inside than what appears on the outside. So we've got quite a colony. They don't eat the wood. They do tunnel around in the older decayed wood, and they do create kind of an area. There are carpenter ants, but these guys here are they don't go into healthy tissue. They go into the areas of decline, and they're just pouring out here. I don't know if you can see that up close, but it's probably out of focus. But they are. I don't want to get underneath it. I'm looking at my ladder, and it's covered with ants now. All right, they're in my hair, down my shirt, they're in my pants. I didn't even touch them, but they were dropping on me. Not only does it make it difficult to deal with the ants when you're up there doing an evaluation, but the guys that gotta get up in the trees to either trim the tree or remove the tree, if you don't take care of the ants ahead of time, it's gonna be a nightmare. And a lot of times when you're up in these trees, you'll make a discovery and it's too late. You're up there working, you'll get up there first thing in the morning, it's cold, all the ants are in the home. As it warms up, you start vibrating the tree, that's when they come out. And before you know it, you got them crawling up your pants, they're up your back, they're all over, and they bite and hurt.